please pay attention because what I'm about to tell you could radically change your financial life. Put God first, and you'll see money others don't. Yes, you heard that right. You've probably spent years chasing money, working hard, struggling day after day, and still haven't achieved true financial freedom. Have you wondered why this happens? The reason is simple and powerful. Most people seek money first, and then God. And that's precisely where the big mistake lies. In this video, I'm going to reveal a biblical secret overlooked by many Christians, but which is the guaranteed path to solid and lasting biblical prosperity. This isn't about superficial religious practices, but about eternal principles that will allow you to discover economic opportunities that were always there but were invisible to your natural eyes. I assure you that when you put these principles into practice, you'll clearly see what was once impossible to perceive. I promise that by the end of this video, you'll discover how to access a completely different financial reality than the one you've lived until today. But I warn you, what I'm about to share at the end will probably surprise you because it contradicts almost everything you've heard about money and prosperity. So stay with me. Make sure to subscribe right now and activate the notification bell so you don't miss upcoming videos. Get ready because what's coming can radically transform the way you handle money starting today. Carlos is a guy we all know, a born fighter, honest and hardworking, who wakes up every day to give his best to his family. He works 12 hours a day, sometimes more, and yet he can't get out of debt. He feels constant anxiety, watching others prosper while he remains stuck. And even though he tries everything, he remains trapped in that frustrating cycle many of us know. But then the big question arises, why isn't working hard always enough to achieve the financial success we long for? The answer isn't a lack of effort or talent. Isolated effort, while valuable, is never enough without clear spiritual direction. That's where something more powerful comes in, the idea of putting God first. Look at what Jesus teaches in Matthew 6 verse 33, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." This principle makes it clear that our absolute priority must be to seek God and align ourselves with him before chasing riches. Have you thought about how this approach could change your Christian finances and unlock those doors that always seem closed? I'll explain it simply. Most people are solely focused on how to make money, but they ignore the spiritual roots of money. Working hard without purpose is like running fast without direction. Sooner or later, you end up frustrated and exhausted. What you really need are biblical financial keys to align your effort with the plan God designed for you from the beginning. This reminds me a bit of the famous series Succession. Wealth and power abound in that family, but without solid spiritual principles, everything ends in absolute emotional chaos. It's proof that accumulating money without divine purpose brings more problems than solutions. Can you imagine being able to work hard but knowing that every step you take is backed by God himself? If you identify with Carlos, you probably understand that feeling of anguish when you look around and think, "What am I doing wrong?" It's not easy to realize that effort alone isn't enough, especially when we grew up hearing phrases like, "Whoever works hard prospers." But the reality is different. Your work must be accompanied by a prosperous mindset that only arises when God directs your steps. Perhaps you're thinking right now about how to break that frustrating cycle. Well, there's a clear path out of there, and precisely for that, I created the playlist Put God First and Prosper. In it, I share in depth the spiritual secrets that attract money and how to apply spiritual principles to make money in your daily life. You can find it at the end of this video, and believe me, It will be exactly what you need to change your financial reality. How many times have we heard that God and money shouldn't mix, as if talking about money were something unspiritual or worldly? But here's the first mistake many of us make, thinking that money is just paper or a bank account. The truth is that, before being material, money is profoundly spiritual, and understanding this is key to achieving true biblical prosperity. Look at what the Bible clearly says in Deuteronomy 8 verse 18. But remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth. Did you notice? The source of all material wealth has its root in the power God gives us. This means that to understand how money works and discover how to prosper with God, we first have to grasp that everything starts in the spiritual. I'll give you a very interesting example. Surely you know the famous book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Many millionaires and financial experts recommend its practical principles for learning to manage money. The curious thing is that those famous financial principles are based on concepts that were written long before in biblical verses about money and wealth. Even those who ignore God are today, without knowing it, using biblical financial secrets that He revealed thousands of years ago. Do you see how money starts as something spiritual before manifesting materially? Those who manage to grasp this truth begin to see opportunities that others never notice because they understand that God shows them paths invisible to natural eyes. It's no coincidence that people who have spiritual clarity are also the ones who are most successful in managing money, especially when we talk about finances according to the Bible. And the reason is simple but powerful. The spiritual world governs the material world, never the other way around. That's why, by learning how to manage money according to the Bible, you begin to make decisions with divine wisdom. You attract unexpected financial blessings, and you experience an economic peace that doesn't depend on how much you have in the bank. There lies the true power behind money. Perhaps you're thinking now how you can activate this spiritual principle in your financial life. Don't worry, because there's a specific spiritual key for that. It's so powerful that when you discover it, you'll start to see clearly what once seemed hidden and complicated. The good news is, you're about to discover it. We live in an era where success means fame, followers on Instagram or TikTok, easy money, and extravagant lifestyles. But does that really fill the inner void we feel? Many people achieve all that, but end up feeling empty, alone, or trapped in anxiety. The truth is, when we talk about success from God's perspective, things change completely. Wealth with purpose completely redefines what it means to succeed in life. Think for a second about this. What would happen if King Solomon, yes, the wisest and richest man according to the Bible, went a Shark Tank today? What ideas would he bring? Surely he wouldn't just talk about how to make money fast, but how to generate wealth that transcends generations, based on spiritual principles for making money. Imagine the investors' faces hearing him. They'd probably be as surprised as you are right now. Jesus was even clearer when in Matthew 6 verse 33, he left us an essential teaching. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. What exactly does it mean to seek first the kingdom of God? It means putting God above all your decisions, from the smallest to the most important, especially in relation to your finances. And this completely changes your way of seeing financial success. When we put God first, He redefines our priorities. We no longer just pursue accumulating goods, but living with inner peace, cultivating healthy relationships, and having a positive impact on those around us. This is true success, a full life that naturally flows towards financial freedom, but is never enslaved by money. It's prospering from the inside out, from the spiritual to the material. An excellent example is actor Keanu Reeves, who, despite having millions, lives with surprising humility, far from the selfishness and emptiness we see in so many celebrities. He doesn't seek easy applause or followers, but uses his money for noble causes, unconsciously reflecting the same biblical financial secrets that Jesus taught more than 2,000 years ago. Do you realize the difference between empty success and real success? Perhaps you've seen influencers on social media who seem to have it all but ended up in deep depressions or painful financial scandals. Material success without eternal principles is fragile and fleeting. That's why it's essential to develop a prosperous mindset that is connected to the eternal. This will not only give you material prosperity, but peace, satisfaction, and purpose, which are much more lasting riches. Can you imagine waking up every day with the certainty that your actions are aligned with the eternal purpose God has for you? When that happens, everything changes. It is precisely then that you can discover those financial opportunities that remained hidden and see how your life begins to reflect true biblical prosperity. There is a practical, clear, and direct way to implement this in your daily life and rapidly transform your financial reality. A method that the Bible teaches and that you can start applying immediately. It is simple, powerful, and effective. And that is precisely what I want to tell you right now, because I know you are curious to discover how to radically transform your finances by putting God first. Most people I know don't get into financial trouble from a lack of money, but from a lack of clarity in their decisions. And let's be honest, it's happened to all of us at some point: an impulse purchase, a bad investment, or a loan taken in haste. But did you know that true financial clarity is something that comes directly from God? Proverbs 2 verse 6 clearly says that He gives wisdom, and from His mouth come knowledge. We live in an era where everyone wants to depend on artificial intelligence to make financial decisions. In fact, even banks now offer services with AI to predict investments. But here's an interesting question. If so many depend on a machine created by humans, why not depend directly on the creator of human intelligence? Imagine the advantage of having God Himself guiding your steps in Christian finances. A simple prayer before making financial decisions can open your mind to opportunities you couldn't even imagine before. This isn't superstition or an empty religious ritual, but a practical strategy for how to manage money according to the Bible. When you pray and ask for divine wisdom, God can show you unexpected solutions to your problems, novel ways to save, and surprising ways to get out of debt. The interesting thing is that this clarity doesn't just affect your immediate decisions, but profoundly impacts your economic future. By making decisions based on spiritual principles, you begin to walk with special confidence, knowing that every step you take is protected by God. It's no coincidence that people who follow these principles achieve surprising results, finally understanding the true meaning of financial freedom. I want to give you a simple but powerful challenge. For the next 30 days, before making any important financial decision, take a few minutes to ask God for direction. Do it with sincerity and an open heart, and I assure you that you will begin to experience immediate results. You won't just be surprised by the right decisions you'll make, but by the profound peace you'll begin to experience when you put God first in your financial decisions. We receive many prayer requests daily and witness that God powerfully responds, transforming the financial and personal lives of many people. If today you need prayer for your finances or are going through a complicated situation, do not hesitate to write your request in the comments. We are here to pray for you, firmly believing that God can intervene and radically change your situation. Now that we understand the importance of spiritual clarity in our decisions, I want to tell you a quick story about an acquaintance of mine named Diego. Diego had a natural talent for making money quickly. He started his business, grew, and accumulated assets, but his ambition became an obsession. In a short time, his family relationships deteriorated, he fell into deep anxiety, and finally lost almost everything. The reason? He had made money his goal instead of a tool. The Bible clearly warns about this in Ecclesiastes 5 verse 10. Whoever loves money never has enough money. And it is that when we seek money as an objective, we end up frustrated because ambition never ends. But when we understand that money is simply a powerful tool to fulfill bigger purposes, unexpected doors to true biblical prosperity open before us. When we put God first, we begin to see money from another perspective. We're no longer obsessed with accumulating riches, but with how to use those riches to bless others. This shift not only brings inner peace and healthy relationships, but also generates an abundant flow of resources because God trusts those who correctly use material blessings to positively impact the lives of other people. A wonderful example of this is actor Denzel Washington. Many don't know that he has been discreetly funding the education of disadvantaged young people for years. He uses his money as a tool, not as a selfish goal, clearly showing a true prosperous mindset. This is precisely the attitude that opens the doors to blessings beyond what one can imagine and clearly reflects the spiritual principles for making money. I want to challenge you right now to review how you've been viewing money until today. Are you using it as a selfish goal or as a tool at the service of God and others? Think about how your life could change if, from now on, you decide to use every cent you receive with purpose. Can you imagine the satisfaction of knowing that your money not only improves your life but also the lives of those around you? If you've made the decision to use your money as a tool guided by God, write this prophetic declaration in the comments right now. I put God first, and that's why I prosper. This simple act can change your financial perspective starting today and activate a powerful spiritual principle in your life. Recently, I met Andrea and Javier, a couple of small digital entrepreneurs who started from scratch. They didn't have much business experience, but they had something powerful, active faith. They decided to pray for their projects, and despite doubts, they took small, concrete steps, convinced that God would back their actions. The result? Today, their online business is prospering more than they ever imagined. Did you know the Bible speaks precisely about this? James 2 verse 26 clearly says that faith without works is dead. This means it's not enough to believe in God's provision. You also have to take concrete steps in that direction. It's in those steps that we activate the true spiritual secrets that attract money and open doors that were previously invisible to us. Perhaps it's happened to you that by waiting too long, you lost valuable opportunities. There's a danger that we often ignore, passivity disguised as faith. Believing that God will do everything while you remain idle isn't faith, it's spiritual irresponsibility. But when you unite true faith with concrete actions, surprising financial miracles are activated that reflect an authentic, prosperous mindset. Let me tell you something very clearly. God profoundly honors those who act with faith, especially when they take smart risks, trusting in His direction. It's like planting seeds in fertile ground. Perhaps at first you see nothing, but over time you'll see abundant fruit. And the same happens with your economy when you decide to move, guided by divine principles on how to prosper with God. Today, I want to invite you to think about that specific action you've been putting off. Maybe it's starting an online business, getting out of a complicated debt, or perhaps simply starting to save seriously. What small step could you take today to activate your faith and unlock those doors that until now seemed closed? I assure you that when you act with faith, God begins to move with you. Suddenly, people, resources, and ideas emerge that you never imagined you could access. These aren't coincidences, they're divine responses to your active faith, demonstrating what happens when you apply the spiritual principles for making money with conviction and confidence. The most exciting thing is that you never know how far a small action combined with genuine faith can take you. But one thing I'm sure of, it always takes you much further than you could have gotten on your own. And the most beautiful thing about this is that you're about to discover exactly how to do it in a practical and realistic way in your daily life. Has it ever happened to you that by making impulsive financial decisions, you end up deeply regretting it later? Like when you accept a loan you didn't really need, or jump into investments that seemed attractive but turned out to be a disaster. The truth is that many of these situations occur because we forget to ask ourselves how our financial decisions truly honor God. Honoring God with our money isn't just a religious matter, it's a deeply practical and wise one. The Bible clearly teaches in Proverbs 3 verse 9, "Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops." This implies thinking before acting and always putting God first in every economic decision, whether buying a house, starting a business, or investing in cryptocurrencies. There's something powerful about asking God before making concrete decisions. I know people who, before investing in an apparently promising business, take a few minutes to pray and wait for God's answer. The result? They save themselves countless financial headaches because God gives them absolute clarity on what they should do, revealing something that impresses me: how small entrepreneurs who decided to honor God in every step of their business avoided recent crises that devastated larger companies. When you manage your finances according to the Bible, you not only have short-term success but lasting financial stability and an inner peace that money alone could never buy. Perhaps you're wondering how to do this practically. The key is simple but transformative. Before any important financial decision, stop for a few minutes, close your eyes, and honestly ask God, "Does this honor your name? Is it aligned with what you teach in your word?" It's a quick but incredibly powerful act, capable of radically changing your financial situation. When you start honoring God this way, you'll experience not only financial clarity, but also a peace that goes beyond your understanding. And this peace doesn't come from the amount of money you have, but from knowing that every penny you handle is aligned with His eternal purpose. This is what we call living with true wealth with purpose, a lifestyle that surpasses any superficial material wealth. I want you to think for a moment about how one person's decision can transform the lives of an entire family or even several generations. Perhaps you remember someone in your own family who made wise financial decisions based on solid spiritual principles, and how that positively affected your life and the lives of others. Putting God first not only changes your present, but creates an unimaginable multiplying impact. Proverbs 13 verse 22 says something powerful: "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children." And this inheritance is not only limited to money, but also to the spiritual and emotional legacy you leave when you act with integrity and divine purpose. When you combine biblical wisdom with concrete economic decisions, you are building something that will last beyond your own life: true wealth with purpose. This makes me think of the book The Lean Startup by Eric Rice. This book teaches how to multiply results from small strategic decisions. Now imagine applying this same mindset to your spiritual and economic decisions. What would happen if you scaled your finances by applying not only business strategies, but the very spiritual principles for making money that God revealed centuries ago? True prosperity doesn't just benefit your wallet. When you put God first, your financial success reaches those around you, family, friends, and your entire community. Wise financial decisions become a source of inspiration for others, encouraging them to also seek the spiritual secrets that attract money and transform their own realities. Imagine for a moment the legacy you would leave if all your financial decisions reflected God's eternal purpose. Your children, grandchildren, and loved ones would learn from your example to live with integrity, purpose, and economic wisdom. Isn't this the true meaning of financial success? When you understand this, you discover an even more powerful purpose behind every penny you earn. Now that you've discovered how to truly put God first in your finances, remember that every principle learned today has the power to transform your financial reality. But remember that all of this only works when you truly apply it in your daily life. God is ready to bless you abundantly, but the decision to act is solely yours. Start honoring Him with your economic decisions today, and you'll see your life filled with peace and authentic wealth with purpose. Don't forget that we are here to help you in prayer. So leave your request in the comments because we firmly believe that God can transform any situation you're going through. I also want to remind you to write this powerful declaration of faith in the comments. I put God first, and that's why I prosper. This declaration is more than words. It's a prophetic and powerful act that will activate blessings over your life. And now, as I mentioned before, you need to complement what you've learned here with our playlist, Put God First and Prosper. There you'll find practical teachings that will boost everything you discovered today. Don't miss it. If this video was valuable to you, subscribe right now, like it, share it with someone you know needs to hear this message, and activate notifications. Who came to your mind while listening to this message? Share it right now, because that person might need exactly these words. May God bless you abundantly in all areas of your life. The best is yet to come,